Hello everyone, welcome to Trades Talk Tuesday. I am your host, Pop Culture Mechanic. Please call me Pop for short. And we'll get into it like we always do, looking at some of the news in industry. Let's do a little bit of this. There we go. So, brought to you by Plant Magazine, or courtesy of Plant Magazine. I shouldn't say brought to you by, but courtesy of Plant Magazine. Some of the interesting news tidbits out there. Volkswagen to build an EV battery plant in southwest Ontario. That's good news. Wonder how big this thing is going to be. Let's find out here. Toronto, Ontario's economic development minister stood on the roof of a Volkswagen facility in Germany in October overlooking a sprawling electric vehicle battery plant under construction and had a good feeling the province could soon land one of its own. Hours after the automaker announced Monday that it would build its first overseas gigafactory for battery cell manufacturing in Ontario, Vic Fedeli reflected on the work, the meetings, and the sleepless nights that went into the province, ultimately securing the planned Volkswagen plant in St. Thomas, Ontario, where production is planned to start in 2027. A diesel-powered EV battery plant. Hey, Godzillionaire, welcome. In Ontario, they could probably use hydro, depending on where they are. And I don't know if St. Thomas is close to, but it's Ontario Hydro, so it'll be just like hydroelectric dams providing power. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Let's see. That day in Germany, as Volkswagen officials rattle off a list of conditions to build in Ontario, including skilled labor, a reliable and clean energy supply, and an ecosystem of other auto-related businesses, Fedeli thought of a 1,500-acre parcel of land in southwestern Ontario that the province was eyeing for the company. We had a pretty good feeling that day that we've got a genuine shot at this because we'd already been assembling our mega site in St. Thomas, he said in an interview. So we knew we were going to make a lot of these check marks. 3 weeks later, they were here in Canada, here in Ontario, meeting with us. Volkswagen officials toured the site that is now set to be the facility's home, and over the next 3 months, traveled to Ontario 4 more times to meet with Premier Doug Ford. You want a deal closed? You bring in the big guy, Fedeli said. He said to them, we want you to make money. We need you to know that we've lowered the costs of doing business. Okay, so tax breaks for Volkswagen. Ford listed measures such as implementing corporate tax relief and lowering workplace safety and insurance board premiums, responding to pleas from other automakers to lower the cost of business, Fedeli said. We've done everything that the auto sector has asked of us, Fedeli said. Several weeks ago, the province submitted the last of its materials to the automaker ahead of a Volkswagen board meeting Monday morning where the final decision was made. Fedeli said there had been a lot of sleepless nights in the interim while waiting the decision, he said. We're obviously very excited, Fedeli said. We're obviously working on the next deals already. Since 2020, Canada and Ontario have attracted more than $17 billion in investments in the quickly growing field. This will be the second electric vehicle battery factory in Ontario. Last year, automaker Stellantis and South Korean battery maker LG Energy Solution announced they were building a facility in Windsor, Ontario, with a $5 billion price tag. Numbers such as the money being invested and jobs being created at the Volkswagen facility will be disclosed at a future announcement with the automaker's representatives, Fedeli said. The company said Canada offers ideal conditions, including a local supply of raw materials and wide access to clean electricity. Canada and Ontario are perfect partners for scaling up our battery business and green economy jobs, as we share the same values of sustainability, responsibility, and cooperation, Thomas Schmall, chairman of the supervisory board of PowerCo SE, Volkswagen's battery company, wrote in a statement. We are committed to be a reliable partner and a good neighbor for the people of St. Thomas and Ontario. Fedeli and Federal Industry Minister François-Philippe Champagne wrote in a joint statement that the announcement is a major vote of confidence in Canada and Ontario being global leaders in the EV supply chain. With a highly skilled workforce, clean energy, and abundance of critical minerals, access to markets, and a flourishing automotive and battery sector, we are an attractive investment destination with everything companies need to grow. The company signed an agreement last year with the federal government to work to identify suitable sites for such a facility in Canada, and they also committed to investigate ways for Canada to contribute to Volkswagen's battery supply chains, including raw materials and assembly. Ontario set the stage last month for the Volkswagen announcement introducing and quickly passing a law adjusting municipal boundaries for a 1,500 mega site in southwestern Ontario. Adjusting the municipal borders. That seems kind of sketchy. Backroom dealing there. And I'm surprised they came out and admitted it, but whatever. They're the government. I guess they're going to do whatever they want. Fedeli said at the time that site straddled St. Thomas and Central Elgin, and putting the entire piece of land within St. Thomas would eliminate the red tape and barriers that could come with future companies having to deal with two municipalities. Flavio Volpe, president of the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association, credited Monday's announcement to hard work by both levels of the government. Canada now boasts major investments in electric vehicle manufacturing from 6 of the world's top 7 automakers, he said in an interview. For a country without its own domestic brands, it is unprecedented and speaks to the globally competitive value proposition of investing billions here. So there you go. Battery plant in Ontario from Volkswagen. Ottawa company is teaching autonomous vehicles to see, snow, drive in bad weather. Yeah, I don't care how good you think you can teach this vehicle to drive in the snow. I'm not doing it. I'll do it myself. U.S. adds a robust 311,000 jobs despite Fed's rate hikes. I don't know. Any of my American friends confirm this? Did they add that many jobs, or is it just a numbers game? Are they playing fast and loose with them numbers? Ontario to require technological education course for high school graduation. Okay, that's kind of strange, but all right. Dutch government to restrict sales of processor chip tech. Okay, this is interesting. We'll see what the Dutch government has in mind here. Why are they going to restrict the sales of processor chips? Netherlands. The Dutch government announced Wednesday that it is planning on imposing additional restrictions on the export of machines that make advanced processor chips, joining a U.S. push that aims at limiting China's access to materials used to make such chips. Dutch Minister for Foreign Trade and Development Cooperation, Leslie Schrijnmacher, sent a letter to lawmakers outlining the proposed limitations, which come in addition to existing export controls on semiconductor technology. In view of technological developments and geopolitical context, the government has come to the conclusion that it is necessary for international security to extend the existing export control of specific semiconductor production equipment, she wrote. Prime Minister Mark Rutte visited U.S. President Joe Biden in January for talks on advanced chip machines made by Dutch company ASML and other topics. The Biden administration in October imposed export controls to limit China's access to advanced chips, which it says can be used to make weapons, commit human rights abuses, and improve the speed and accuracy of its military logistics. It urged allies like Japan and the Netherlands to follow suit. Oh, by the way, China can commit human rights abuses without the advanced chips. They've got a large military, and they don't need chips to go around and abuse people with the butt end of their rifle. So that's what I think about that. China has criticized the moves as violations of market principles in international trade. The Biden administration also is close to tightening rules on some overseas investments by U.S. companies in an effort to limit China's ability to acquire technologies that could improve its military prowess, according to a U.S. official familiar with the deliberations. The expected action is the latest effort by the White House to target China's military and technology sectors at a time of increasingly fraught relations between world's two biggest economies. ASML, headquartered in southern Dutch town of Veldhoven, is the world's only producer of machines that use extreme ultraviolet lithography to make advanced semiconductor chips. The Dutch government has prohibited ASML from exporting some of its machines to China since 2019, but the company has still been shipping lower quality lithography systems there. And hey, welcome, Gap After Dark. Nice to see ya. We're just checking to see why the Dutch government is not selling processors to China. ASML has research manufacturing centers in Beijing and Shenzhen, China, as well as regional headquarters in Hong Kong. Okay, so they are very complicit if they have manufacturing centers in Beijing and Shenzhen and Hong Kong. The Dutch minister's letter to lawmakers did not mention China. Of course not. They're biting the hand that feeds them. You make the chips there, and you're not going to sell them to the Chinese government. They aren't that dumb. The Dutch are going to sell them to whoever's going to buy them. It said the new export control measures target very specific technologies in the semiconductor production cycle on which the Netherlands has a unique and leading position, such as the most advanced deep ultraviolet immersion lithography and deposition. It added that the decision for additional export controls was made carefully and as precisely as possible, surgically, in order to avoid unnecessary disruption of the value chains and to take into account the international level playing field. The government said it would publish the new regulations before the summer. In a statement published on its website, ASML said that the new restrictions will apply to its most advanced deposition and immersion lithography tools. Due to these upcoming regulations, ASML will need to apply for export licenses for shipment of the most advanced immersion DUV systems, the company said, adding that it will take time for these controls to be translated into legislation and take effect. The company added that based on the announcement, our expectation of the Dutch government's licensing policy and the current market situation, we do not expect these measures to have a material effect on our financial outlook that we have published for 2023 or for our longer-term scenarios. So there you go. They're restricting sales of only their high-end processor chip technology. Oh, here's a fun one. U.S. President Joe Biden long-awaited Canada visit to happen March 23rd and 24th. How many you guys want to go into on a pool? How many times he's going to trip going up the stairs to his airplane? Or what? Is he going to take the train here? Does he need to have a car seat to strap him in so he doesn't fall out of his seat? Stop me anytime here. I just think it's funny. Washington. U.S. President Joe Biden will travel to Ottawa on March 23rd to meet with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And meeting with Justin Trudeau is no big deal. He is probably one of the scummiest people on the face of the earth, and I just hate his guts. I think he's a terrible Prime Minister, and he shouldn't even be in politics ever. But I'll tell you how I really feel. His first visit north of the border since taking the oath of office in 2021. White House said the president and his wife Jill will spend 2 days in Canada, although a detailed itinerary has not yet been released. The two leaders will discuss an ongoing upgrade of the jointly led NORAD Continental Defense System, which came under heavy scrutiny last month following the discovery of a Chinese surveillance balloon over U.S. and Canadian airspace. Yeah, I still don't get it. Chinese surveillance balloon? Don't they have satellites? Haven't the Chinese launched their own satellites into space? Why would you send a balloon over? I don't get it. Scare people? Make them wonder what's going on? And why did it take them so long? The Americans have satellites all over the place. They should have seen this thing coming across the Pacific Ocean. Like, come on. What's going on here? You have all this high-tech surveillance equipment, and you can't even see a balloon slowly coming across the Pacific Ocean? I don't know. I'm not buying it. They will also discuss how to fortify shared supply chains, combat climate change, and accelerate the clean energy transition, the White House said in a statement. Biden will also address a joint session of Parliament to highlight the importance of the United States-Canada bilateral relationship. A visit to Canada is customarily one of a new U.S. president's first foreign trips, a tradition upended 2 years ago by the coup. Like the rest of the world at the time, the two leaders settled for a virtual meeting instead. The virus interfered with Canada-U.S. relations again in 2022 when Biden tested positive for the coup a second time, forcing the White House to scrap its plan for a summertime visit. Delayed though it may be, it is an important bilateral meeting for both countries, said Scott Greenwood, CEO of Canadian-American Business Council. It's an occasion which focuses a bureaucracy on the breadth and depth of bilateral and multilateral issues. And that's a really good thing because it causes everybody here to focus on Canada, Greenwood said. It also allows the president himself to think about and reflect on Canada in the context of all other global relationships the U.S. has. And that can be a very good thing. In the end, however, it's essential that the federal government in Ottawa make the most of the opportunity, she added. The extent to which Canada wants to lean in and try to help solve some of the pain points in the U.S. is a good opportunity for Canada, Greenwood said. We won't know until that visit happens if Canada wants to do that. As always, the two leaders have a lot to talk about, much of it a direct offshoot of the pandemic, and as both countries recalibrate their domestic and international supply chains, bilateral travel rules, and economic recovery efforts, all of it with an eye towards arresting the march of climate change around the world. My God. You know what? You guys are dumb. You cannot arrest the march of climate change around the world. We are just a country. Canada is just a country of like 36 million people. It's like a drop in the bucket for anything we would have to do with climate change. Meanwhile, China has 1 billion people. India's got 1 billion people. Maybe you should talk to them first about climate change before you start talking to us about it. How can you arrest the march of something made up? I agreed, Godzillionaire. Yes. I don't get it. Like, what's the problem? Like, stop it, you know? Anyway, let's see. It goes on here. Strategies to minimize dependence on China for critical minerals and semiconductors, two vital components in the global push to expand the popularity of electric vehicles and fuel what some experts liken to a post-pandemic industrial revolution, are sure to be high on the agenda. Yeah, just make your own semiconductors in your own country. You want to make it so China doesn't have sway over you? Do that. You know? And you don't want to have dependence on them for minerals? Find your own. Get your own minerals. Look in your own backyard. You know, you've got to stop letting them have such a sway over you. It's not right. So too will be a united front in opposing Russia's continued aggression in Ukraine, as well as what to do about Haiti, where Canada is facing international pressure to take a lead role in quelling widespread gang violence. Why are we worried about gang violence in Haiti? Like, get the hell out of there. What are you talking about? Get to your own country. Like, let's take care of stuff here before we start going to other countries and solving their problems. You know? I don't get it. You know, and same with Russia invading Ukraine. You don't want to start up with Russia. Like, how dumb is that? You know, obviously, where's all the other countries in Europe? Are they helping out the Ukraine? I've heard nothing out of the other countries. And here the U.S. is sending billions of dollars, like crazy amounts of money over there. It's just nuts, the amount. Like, first thing I do, I tell the president, stop doing that. Stop sending your money over there. It's just ridiculous. Why are you guys paying for a war that the Ukraine and Russia are in? It doesn't make any sense. There will be bilateral tensions to address as well. The post-NAFTA era, where the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement is now the law of the land in continental trade, has been marked by irritants, including access to Canada's dairy market and how the U.S. defines foreign content in autos. Immigration has become a hot topic. While Republican lawmakers usually have a singular focus on the flow of migrants across the U.S.-Mexico border, a spike in the number of people entering Canada from Canada has also caught their eye. Trudeau has publicly acknowledged that the two countries need to renegotiate the 2004 Safe Third Country Agreement in order to staunch the flow of irregular migration into Canada, but there is little appetite in the U.S. to do so. To cover up Corn Pop's dealings? Yeah, you bet, Gap. Even so-called trusted travelers are having a harder time than they did before the pandemic, with the fast-track program known as Nexus having been hampered by a cross-border jurisdictional squabble. The White House said irregular migration and forced displacement throughout the region will indeed be on the agenda, but offered no additional details. Biden's speech to Parliament will follow in the footsteps of his former boss, then President Barack Obama, who made a similar address when he last visited Ottawa in June 2016. Biden himself visited the national capital in December of that year as Obama's second term was winding down and the world was bracing for the inauguration of his Republican successor, Donald Trump. I know sometimes we're like the big brother, that's a pain in the neck and overbearing, but we're more like family even than allies, the vice president at the time said during a state dinner in his honor. He cheered Canada's role in defending and strengthening what he called a liberal international order amid the rise of authoritarianism around the world, perhaps sensing what the next 4 years had in store. We're going to get through this period because we're Americans and Canadians, and so had I a glass I toast you by saying Vive la Canada, because we need you very, very badly. All right, well, he's coming here. What else? Japan's Nissan slashing EV cost cuts rare minerals use. Well, that's all right. You want to get people into electric vehicles? You better cut the costs. Not everyone can afford $50,000 for an electric vehicle. Okay. Well, I think that's enough in that area, talking about industry. Move along. I found an article from the CBC, which is Canada's National Broadcasting Corporation. And it was saying that demand for skilled trades is soaring. So what's standing in the way of more apprenticeships? More needs to be done to remove barriers to the industry, educators and advocates say. Okay, I'm interested to know what these barriers are. Though he once considered dropping out of school, grade 12 student Nathan Godet says he's now showing up early thanks to an engaging course that marks the first time he's ever enjoyed going to class. The 17-year-old says his construction industry co-op course has reinforced his interest in the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning industry, or HVAC, which he'd already been familiar with through family, and helped pinpoint a specialty to pursue gas technician work. I don't believe I would have been in school right now without this program, said Godet. I'd probably be working minimum wage right now. Classmate Kate Agnew says the co-op course, where Toronto District School Board students learn at carefully selected construction sites, has helped broaden their horizons and offered the grade 11 student a peek into different career paths. I could go to university, but slowly I've actually been starting to lean into skilled trades, said the 17-year-old. Who has a budding interest in carpentry and construction management. Canadians nearing retirement outnumber young people entering the working world, and demand for a new generation of skilled trades workers is soaring. Amid record high job vacancies in sectors like construction and manufacturing, new registrations for apprenticeship programs have risen, according to Statistics Canada, but the programs took a major hit during the pandemic, and apprenticeships and trade certifications have yet to catch up with pre-COVID levels. Provinces have responded to this labor shortfall in a variety of ways. BC is boosting apprenticeship and foundation training seats, while Alberta is investing in skilled trades training for women. Last week, Ontario unveiled a mandatory technological education credit for high school students and is allowing young people to begin apprenticeships full-time starting in grade 11. But there are still several problems that need to be tackled, according to educators in the trades. a teacher shortage. Elvie Morrow, one of the two teachers leading Godette and Agnes's Step to Construction co-op class, has seen rising interest in the program over the past 17 years, as Canada's need for younger tradespeople has increased. His students sample many jobs in just a few months. They might spend a couple of weeks on site with carpenters, followed by time with construction craft workers, sheet metal experts, electricians, plumbers, and so forth. He calls it a phenomenally engaging hands-on experience that helps many students figure out what fits. Our philosophy is to expose them to as much as possible and then give them the opportunity to make those important decisions in life and help them to make the right decision, Morrow said. But a key barrier standing in the way of these courses is a lack of educators, says Matthew Bradley, TDSB's coordinator of the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, who popped into Morrow's class last week. The past decade has seen an overwhelming rise in demand for skilled tradespeople, as well as lucrative wages for the most coveted of them. But Bradley points out that this coincided with a doubling of the teacher training period from 1 to 2 years for new Ontario educators. This is why he says it's become less attractive for an experienced journey person to switch to newbie teacher, not to mention the significant pay cut he says comes with that switch. All across the province, there are widespread vacancies in shops like this because they don't have a qualified teacher, he explained, noting that better recognition of trades work experience for teachers in training and starting pay more comparable to what they made as skilled tradespeople would help more people to consider making the switch. Yes, I've heard this before as well. There are guys that will go into teaching, that are tradesmen, but then they will either, when school break comes up for 2 months, they'll go work a shutdown to make more money, because it's just not as much as they're used to. So that's the thing. If they've got to help make it so that the educators make more money that they're like if they were working out in industry. Raising the profile of the pathway to the skilled trades is also imperative, according to Bradley. Most people aren't aware about apprenticeships at all, he noted, calling it a common misconception among parents, students, and the wider community that university and college are the only options after high school. And this was pushed on me when I was in high school. They didn't mention the skilled trades at all. They were like, oh, you got to go to university. If you want to get anywhere, you got to go to university, and that's what they pushed on everybody all the time. And yeah, it's their fault for doing that. From BC to Alberta, Ontario, and the Maritimes, everyone is screaming for more skilled tradespeople, he said. We need employers, we need parents, we need guidance counselors, we need teachers and students to all understand the value of the apprenticeship pathway. Framing skilled trades as sexy, Mandy Renahan saw opportunity in the construction trades 30 years ago as a teen in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia at the time. No one encouraged her in that direction despite her early interest and aptitude. Still, she forged ahead. Nobody at the high schools, none of my people around me were telling me, especially being female, to go into the skilled trades because that's not where people were going to be revered. That's not where you were going to be praised. The construction mogul and host of HGTV's Trading Up with Mandy Renahan recalled in an interview from Naples, Florida. These days, the founder and CEO of retail construction and maintenance company Freshco channels her decades of experience and passion for the skilled trades into advocating for them and dispelling the stigmas that can surround them. Like, for instance, the idea is that trades careers are backbreaking menial work, provide little intellectual stimulation, or that they're simply not for women. And you can make more money as a tradesman than a lot of jobs. Yes, Gap, you are correct. It's amazing. And then as you go through your apprenticeship, every year you write your test for your next year, your next level. So, for your first year, second year, third year, and then finally fourth year, your wage goes up by 10% every year. It's supposed to by law. Renahan describes tradespeople as polymaths that Canadians should value and be proud of, and says what's really needed is for the trades to be shown for the sexy essential industry it is, full of opportunities. Robotics, computer simulators, artificial intelligence, advanced tools, and new technology are transforming these careers in exciting ways that she says should command more respect and attention. In turn, Renahan says the sectors themselves must double down on policies and workflows that make the trades a place where women and diverse communities feel they belong. She believes the young apprentices of today will change the trades from within, since they've learned more about racism, discrimination, and importance of tolerance, equality, and inclusion than prior generations. More women and more young men who come into the trades valuing quality is really going to help the industry. Yeah, knowing your job, too, will help the industry. Paying attention to the journeyman that's teaching you and getting that experience will help the industry. Don't worry about pushing your woke idealism. It's not going to fly. Hello, DJ Ronnie G. Good to see you. After running his own repair shop for nearly 2 decades, Mike Botchick returned to Camosun College, his Victoria alma mater, where he spent the past 12 years as an automotive instructor. In his experience, today's students want to be fully engaged in what they're learning and are hungry for depth, detail, and up-to-date industry developments. According to Botchick, that means instructors have to be on their game. Woke idealism is working so well for the banking... Yeah, Godzillionaire. Yeah, how's that working out for them, eh? Regardless of how long tradespeople have been working, he points out that they need regular ongoing training to keep up with the technological advancements which arrive in nearly every quarter for the automotive industry. If you let things stagnate, you're going to fall behind, he said. It's super critical to continue with the upgrading and just move forward. Botchick says his students want to start doing something right now, which works out well since he says employers in the industry are constantly approaching the college looking for new apprentices. That's unprecedented, you guys. Having a employer come to the college to grab apprentices, that is excellent. That's what you want. You want them to come to the college and pick people out of there. That's good to hear that. We need tradesmen to rebuild the cities after your grandpa Godzilla. Yes, and Godzilla, your family does create jobs. This article continues. He believes the education sector and trades industry should collaborate to create more outlets and facilities for students to learn and get hands-on experience to get started in jobs quickly. Some programs, like Camosun's automotive training that covers the rapidly expanding electric vehicle industry, currently have wait lists several years long. Whoa, several years long. Another initiative Botchick would like to see happen soon is more opportunities for veteran journey people. It's journeyman. Just to say, it's not man, it's not journeyman, it's journeyman. Included in nearing retirement to pass on their decades of knowledge and guide younger colleagues toward full and satisfying careers. Well, he says the best path for the sector going forward would be to focus on the idea of the trades a career as opposed to just a job. Botchick also notes the current labor shortage means apprentices can get work quickly. If you want it, you're going to get it. There you go. See that? Just like that. You can pick and choose pretty much who you would want to go and work with, especially when they're coming to the college to pick apprentices out of there. Let's not worry about this. I've spent enough time on that. Nico, hey, how you doing? Good to see ya. Thanks to Gap for checking out your Stargate trading card video and commenting on it. Hey, nice. Women and men can be journeymen. Exactly. That's what I've been saying. In fact, my friend there, she got her ticket, and she's like, if it says journey person on it, I'm sending it back. She's like, it's journeyman. And I'm like, good on you. Alrighty. So, let's have a look here. A few years back, I was with a group and we were dismantling some conveyor belting or conveyors. Let's go like this and like this. Do that. This. And that. How's that? Okay, you guys? There we go. Okay, yeah. So this was, as you can see, I always I always timestamp my photos, because when you're doing photos, you have to you got to make sure you remember when it was taken when you're cataloging things for a project. The COVID effed all the hands-on training and learning. Yep, this is a hard subject to convey. Oh, Godzillionaire. Oh, womp womp. There's now a generation of college students who had never done anything hands-on because they spent their first 2 years online. Yes. Yeah, that's the thing. These guys, they need that hands-on experience. It's very important. So as you can see here, in this area, they had some conveyors installed, and finally at the end of their use, they didn't need them over in this part anymore. We had to take them down. Now, building things up is a lot easier sometimes than tearing things down safely. When you have to take things down piece by piece, it's a very long process, but it's also it can be dangerous because you're supposed to treat everything with kid gloves. You can't let things slam to the ground. It's very dangerous. So as you can see, we're starting with this conveyor here, and what you do first of all is as you can see, there's no conveyor belt in there, because what you do is first thing you do is cut that off. Cut the belt off, and you let it fall to the ground, or you roll it up, and then you throw it in the garbage because there's no using it anymore. And then you plan out. Now this is quite a long conveyor, so you have to plan out how many sections to take apart, where to undo the bolts, where to cut it with a torch, and where to hook it up and hold onto it with the crane. As you can see in that one photo, we had a crane there. And I was the crane operator during this project. So as you can see there's a lot of recyclable and garbage here. That plano as a planogram? Plano? I don't know. DJ Ronnie G, I don't know. What's a planogram? So so all this stuff is garbage and recyclables. We needed a scissor lift, and we needed an articulating aerial work platform. There's the torch. So we are ready to start taking apart some conveyors. And as you can see, this was a very active area to be in. And yes, I am forklift certified, Nico. I can do forklift, skid steer, front end loader. And although because I don't need it where I am at now, I let my card for my crane run out. So when you did shelves at Best Buy, we used the planogram printout to give us a visual representation. Oh, okay. No, we didn't do anything like that. So these are being taken away, make room. So we had to just cut them down carefully and in pieces. And as you can see, the red steel bins here, we had 2 of them because they got filled up very quickly with pieces of conveyor framework and such. So yeah, as you can see here, we lowered this piece to the ground after taking it off the uprights. And you got to be careful because you can't be, you can't let things just. You got to make sure you know the approximate weight so that you don't overload the crane and then have a catastrophe if the crane collapses. Because crane collapses, nobody wins in that one. You didn't know you were blessed presence of a certified forklift operator? Amen. Oh, it's just an 8-hour course, Nico. It doesn't take much. But yes, as things were being taken down, you can see with the uprights that are left over. And this one was cut with a torch, as you can see. You have crane collapses every few years in New York City. Yikes! That's taken a lot. That's a lot of damage to do. That's a lot of destruction. So yeah, as you can see, piece by piece, the conveyor comes down, nicely controlled, set on dunnage, and then picked up by a skid steer and brought over and dumped into the scrap steel bin. So yes, all the metal will get recycled. Those things are tall AF. Yeah, they are. It's probably tower cranes, right? So the tower crane's worst enemy is wind. Any crane. Once it gets beyond a certain speed, you shut everything down. You don't lift anything with the crane anymore. It's the rule. Like, it's a law. OH&S will come and shut you down or give you a giant fine. So yes, it's interesting. In architecture, we have to do deconstruction plans, and it's interesting to see it actually being done. Yes. Yeah, everything had to be taken down properly and with no incidents. Otherwise, they shut the job site down. You think they stopped falling when the inspector stopped taking bribes? Yeah, stop taking bribes, man. Cranes are just killing everybody. And so it gets a lot easier as you get dealing with the uprights and such. Either take out the anchors in the floor, which we may have done, I think, or just cut them. Cut the anchors and then cut them flush with the floor. And then just lift up with the crane, dump it in the bin. There you can see the crane's set up there. And there's the aerial platform. So the crane would get hooked up. The aerial platform would go up there with the guy with the torch, and he would cut the conveyor frame, and the crane would take the weight and just let it down nice and easy. And then obviously, because we didn't want any fires, we had a hose there, hose down the area thoroughly, because fires are terrible, and we don't need that going on. That's a good way for everybody to lose their jobs. So yes, we're backing up here. We still have to take down this piece here. Yeah, mobile crane, DJ Ronnie G. That's what I would operate. It's just like a mobile suit. Oh, there was a few times I would pretend to operate it like it was a Gundam or a mech. As you can see, yeah, we've lots of water sprayed around. We don't want to start fires. You can see I believe the conveyor belt itself has a bunch of slack in it. You just pull the slack, pull it out, cut it. Some of these pictures are a little blurry because of all the particles in the air. It was a very dusty place. Like, there's a lot of particles floating around. So it's hard to get a good picture. And there's the catwalk we took down, because up top there was a catwalk that ran along the side of the conveyor. So you take the catwalk down, and that came down nicely in one piece. Yeah, the autofocus was homing in on the dust. Exactly. That's exactly what it was doing. Yeah, you can see in this one, you can see the dust particles on the lens of the camera. And these conveyors had chutes on them for directing where the garbage would go. And yeah, as you can see, the scissor lift and the aerial platform are being used at the same time. I think we're going to take down this hood that was on here. I think it had to we had to hook it up with the crane first, and then get up there with some wrenches and take the bolts off. And yeah, once again, like I say, sorry about the blurry pictures, guys, but it was hard to help that. Some of these are terrible. Ugh. A little better, I think, with the flash. Anyway, you can see a bunch of the dust particles with the flash too. And yeah, this piece here, I think we're going to take this down. It's got the head pulley there and all the other support rollers and all that. I think we're going to take that down. Oh, yeah, this one gets taken down. This one over here will be cut back, and so will that one. So there's 3 conveyors. One gets removed completely, and the other 2 just get shortened up a bit. That's the final plan, anyways, of what's going to happen. Reminds you of using flash in the snow? Yep, same thing. Same idea, yep. Damn, RIP lungs. No, everyone was forced to wear respirators. So the company policy was to always wear a respirator when you're in the plant. So don't worry about the lungs. They're okay. But yes, make sure I got this right. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. So 2 and 3 are staying. This one, number 1, this is getting taken out completely. You just realized the photo is stuck in 2018? Good old days? Well, that's when it happened. Like I say, you want your time and date when you're cataloging projects that you're on. It's a good way to show your supervisor or manager the progress that you've made. It's like, oh, we got this done today, and this is what it looks like, and this is how far we got. Ugh, that's a terrible picture. There we go. Somewhat better. But yes, taking down more pieces. Oh, there we go. And that's what you're left with. A couple of uprights here. And then up there. So now that there's this conveyor that dropped onto conveyor number 1, well, that one's got to be locked out because there's nothing to drop on anymore. What do we do with the metal frames and studs you've taken apart? Just dump them or recycle or something else? They all go to the scrap dealer. So they go for recycle. All that metal went to the recycling. There's one of the uprights. We cut the bottom and then just lay it down. That's a little better of a picture. Yep, melt them and recycle. Whatever they want to do with them. But yeah, we're slowly working our way over. And yeah, there's the conveyor that dumped onto the first one we removed. We finally got that piece down. It's sitting on the ground. And then going up for the next one. So get the crane connected up there. Get the torch over there. Cut piece off. Lift it up and out. And then you've got yourself... Oh, that's not very good. Oh, there we go. So as you can see, the conveyor belt has been cut and it's just laying there because we're just going to shorten this one up. So this is going to get a piece cut out of it, and then one of the companies that deals with conveyor belts are going to come in and they're going to vulcanize that on there. Not enough explosions? Come on, Godzillionaire, you know better than that. We don't need dynamite for this one. But yeah, this one will get shortened up. They'll come in and they'll vulcanize the belt, and then it will be all good to go again. As you can see, there it is. So it went all the way over to here, but we've cut out that piece and we've got it back here. I think what we'll have to do is lift up a head pulley and install that on here, and then they can take the belt and wrap it around and pull it back together again. So it was tough for me because I was a crane operator, so it was tough for me to go around taking pictures when I was a crane operator, but I did what I could. I took pictures when I was able to. Teach you some trades? Punkwaddle, welcome! Good to see you. Yeah. So what we're doing here is we're taking down some conveyors that didn't need to be there anymore, or shortening up a few. How long do the belts last before they break or need replacement? That depends on how well they are treated, what material they're conveying. So most of it was like organics or paper and such like that, so that's not too bad. I found that the belts lasted quite a while, but the metal rollers would wear out before the belts would. And in fact, I've seen a rubber conveyor rub through metal. So if it was off a kilter, it would ride up against the frame, and it could wear its way into the frame. You'd think, no, the rubber would wear away before the metal, but nope. I've seen metal wear out just because rubber was so abrasive to it. Depends how many blocks of ice Q*bert loads onto those belts. Yeah. Not a good picture, but you can see we've cut off the end of that conveyor. And I believe that's as short as they wanted it. There's a part of the catwalk. I think we have to bring that one down as well. And ladder, we're going to have to pull that down because there's a ladder going up there and it goes up to nowhere now. So the belts do contain cords. And what usually happens is a belt will only last as long as the cords do. So once the cords get stretched, there's no way you can track that belt anymore. And tracking a belt is making sure it stays square on the pulleys. So once the cords stretch, your belt's done for. You have to get a new one. There's no saving it. No amount of adjustment is going to keep it running straight on those pulleys. So I've seen that a lot, where the cords just stretch. Yeah, and you gotta always have your do not operate and do not enter danger sign so people don't climb up ladders randomly. Yes, there is a tension mechanism on the belts. Some belts I've seen use a counterweight, which pulls evenly on the tail pulley, and you always make all your adjustments on the tail pulley. If you want your belt to run left or right, you go to the back of the tail pulley and you do your adjustments there. And it's just a matter of turning a wrench onto a long threaded rod, and that will move. And you just pretty much want to keep both pulleys parallel to one another, is basically what you're doing. If one's not parallel, your belt's going to run off to the left or right, and you have to adjust the back tail pulley, is what we call it. There's head pulley and tail pulley, and you adjust the tail pulley. And some have just straight up just threaded rods, no counterweight. So there's a few ways out there in which they keep the tension on the belt. So when you have to change the belt with a counterweight one, you have to lift the counterweight up and support it so that it doesn't pull on it, and they can replace the belt. I'm not sure what we're looking at here. Sometimes I take pictures and I forget why I took them for. It happens. It was 5 years ago, so there we go. I think that is going to be moved backwards there, that head pulley and motor and gearbox assembly. Demolish that like button. Thanks, DJ Ronnie G. Appreciate that. So they had numbers and everything. They were all labeled, and this one was C603. So there we go. Eventually we will take down this ladder right here and that piece of catwalk, because there's no reason for it to be there anymore. We'll take that torch and probably cut this conveyor up here and move it back. I'm not sure how far, but we'll move it back. And there's some of the guys. They're looking at the job. As you can see, they do have their respirators on because, like I said earlier, there is a lot of particulate floating around in the air. So, don't know what that was. Don't know why it got that taken a picture, but oh well. Once again, another shot, just showing that this has been rope taped off so nobody can climb it, because you never know who's going to come by and decide on what that they want to climb a ladder. I mean, guys on job sites are funny like that. They get it into their head to do some stuff that's not safe. So there we go. With this picture, we've got the hood off from the previous one, as you could see. There's the hood and everything like that, and it still had the belt on. This one, we've taken the hood off, we've taken the belt and cut it and moved it back. And now you can see the crane is getting hooked up so that we can just cut this with the torch and then let this piece down. And there's another shot of that. Not a very good one. So there we go. I believe that's what we were going to do. We took this piece out right here. And now what will happen is we'll come over and hook onto this piece over here. Lift it up and bring it over here and weld it on. Because that's how you shorten up conveyors. You have to cut and weld. And I had a good welder on the crew. The guy knew his stuff. He was really good. And there's the piece we took out. It's down at the bottom here. And we will probably just take that and put it in the recycle. We'll take this piece here, lift it up, move it over here, connect it, and then lift this up right out of here and take that away. Once again, another shot. I believe that's after we've moved it. Okay, so there it doesn't have the head pulley on. And here, it's got the head pulley on. So I think the weld is right there. If I'm not mistaken. We held it in place with the crane, and the welder went up there and he welded it in place. Now they're going to take that belt, wrap it around the head pulley, and then pull the two ends together, which looks like it's back here. You pull those two ends together and then you vulcanize them, which all that means is you clamp them together and you use heat and you can fuse the two pieces of rubber together, which is called vulcanizing. Here we are. I think, no, they didn't wrap it around yet. Okay. And there's the other conveyor. I'm pretty sure this was the farther one. Yes. Then there's this other one. Same thing happened to it. Cut it. Put the head pulley on. Weld it on. Does it live long and prosper after vulcanizing? Jolan True. Godzillionaire. Just like a bicycle inner tube. Yes, DJ Ronnie G. Exactly. Vulcanizing. I believe they also do that for your tires, if I'm not mistaken. There's a little better shot, a little more clear, but I believe this was the welds that were put on. We were able to hold it in place. Obviously, you don't want fires, so, like I say, we spray her down with lots of water. Lots of water, because you don't want fires. A little better shot. Now, as you can see, the motor and gearbox on this long conveyor over here is facing us, and this one is facing away from us. Do you know how hard it was to get at that gearbox, to service it, to change the oil in it, or even check to see the level of the oil, and to get to the bearing over here? You had to get right close and butt yourself up with the aerial platform and then climb onto the cage, climb the cage of the aerial platform just to get up high enough to get in there. Crazy. That was a terrible idea for them to put it on that side. You should have put it on this side, sticking out. There's a little better shot of it too. I'm not sure if I zoomed in with my camera too much, but I may have. This is why it looks all pixely. And then, what were we doing here? We were putting up. So as you can see here, these doors used to open and the dump trucks used to dump onto the floor here. And that's how they got it sorted. So now that this was just a storage area where trucks didn't have to dump, they wanted us to build it up with sheets of steel. And this would help them have a little more storage, because right now you could only store up to here, up to this level of where the bottom of the door is. But with these, you got a little extra. Well, actually, I think these are 5 by 10 sheets of steel, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, we would hold them up with the crane and a plate clamp. The welder would weld them in place. As you can see, there's lots to do. I think there's 8 doors. So that's another thing to do. And you can see each place he welded, he did a little stitch here and there. There, and there. Just to hold it in place. They'd have to use the aerial platform as well. And there's the sheets that we're putting up. Only a stitch weld. I guess it was just sort of to hold it in place before he got down to really putting all the weld into it that he had to. And stitches are pretty strong. There wasn't going to be anything pushing on it. But yeah, these are the plates that were used. No, it wasn't welded to concrete. There is actual, these guys, I believe we use these to reach from steel to steel. So we put these on the back of the plates that we're putting up, and then these would be welded to the frame of the doors. As you can see, we got a lot of them. So yeah. And then that's what it looks like when the conveyors are moved, because in this spot here used to be the ladder that was taped off, the conveyors, and now all that's left is an air tank that they needed as like a secondary tank for all the to store some air from the compressors. Because it was such a long run from the compressors, they used the backup tank here. And there we go, that's another shot. That's what the conveyors are going to look like now. They wanted one there, short one, and one there, a long one. You just got to connect the 2 pieces together. Yeah, for air tools, and for the loader operators use it to blow out their machines and such. And yeah, it was a convenient place to have some air. So what they're going to do now is they're going to use, eventually, I don't know if I got pictures of it, but they'll put up some concrete jersey barriers, and they will use this as a place where they dump all their material, and the loader can come in and scoop it up. Obviously, they have to get rid of these lights here and the electrical, because that'll be right in the way, so that'll get pulled down. All this stuff will get taken down, but that's electrical. You got to get the electricians in to do that. I'm not an electrician, so that's not up to me. I believe I think we were... No. The project hasn't been going on for 5 years. It was done like within, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 months. It's just so happened I'm showing them now. And I don't work at this place anymore anyway, so there we go. So as you can see, there's the uprights for the columns, and that sheet of steel is welded to it, and then this one is welded to that one. And that was how they did that. You got confused? No, that's okay. I probably didn't explain it good enough. It took place 5 years ago, but yeah, it was done within, I think, a couple of months. So not a government project then. No. No tax dollar to steal, so it's fast. So then they're like, we need a chute on here. And we're like, okay, well, we grabbed a chute that we had laying around from one of the other conveyors and we put it on. So now you can direct where the material is going to fall, how far away from the wall it will fall. And we had to get that installed. Great show. You finished on the replay so fast. Hey, thanks, Gap. Thanks for coming out, buddy. Good to see you. So yeah, there we go. We actually connected up support for that. You wonder if the hour the government stole from me this weekend got sent to Ukraine? You know, gotta support that. Gotta support the war there, right? It still blows my mind. I don't get it. You guys, why are you guys fighting Ukraine's war? I don't get it. The wattle does not like those lifts. Neither is it natural for a penguin to fly nor to stand on a wobble lift for web stories in the air. No wings to help them land. Oh, it's all good. You've got your harness on. You always have to wear your fall arrest harness. So here we go. This is what the not barriers, but this is what the sheets of steel look like after we got them all lined up and welded on there. Give ourselves a little more room to push piles, and we could have a lot more storage. That's what it was all about. And there you go. So we'd keep count of them. All right. So as you can see, this one was number 5. So we were like, okay, yep, number 5. And 5 alive. Yeah, you bet. Harness makes it worse, especially when they only have pulleys left. Yeah. I think Pinata Waddle. Yeah, hey, we can hang Punk Waddle up by a harness. That'd be fun. So these are a little bit better shots. We got number 5. There's number 6. I believe we were going to do, at least they wanted 2 doors left open, I think. So we left 2. Or maybe 3. I can't remember. I remember we didn't go all the way to the end, though. No, not okay. That's all right. So yes, there we go. I was telling you earlier about the Jersey blocks, and this is what we decided to put in there. And these things are heavy. These things weigh like 4,000 pounds. It's crazy. And it was all I could do with that crane just to lift them in place, because it was only an 8.5 ton crane, and you got to worry about the load radius when you're lifting things up, because the further out you go, the less you can lift, and you're going to end up having a collapse or something with your crane. So you got to keep it in as close as possible. Man, these things are heavy. It's unbelievable. And these are what they put on there for you to lift them. So some of them we were just like, you know what? We're not lifting these up. Get us some new ones, because having to use used ones, this is what happens. These things here, this is where they lift. We were using a shackle, as you can see just a little bit of it right there. Use the shackle and lift it up. And, you know, that's not good enough to lift up that amount of weight. You could use the green screen to make it look like you're flying. Good idea. I think that's all right. They look like Legos to ward off kaiju. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, look at this. You gotta be crazy if you want to lift up a 4,000-pound block with a couple strands of wire. So I think we got them to get us some new ones. And that's sort of the bunker we made. So we lifted them into place, put them down, and it's like, okay, we got a bunker. And it looks like they vulcanized the belt. It looks like to me anyway. I don't see it hanging down anymore. So that's good. And we'll probably have to put on a chute to direct all the material to the right spot. And this was to hold the blocks from getting pushed around by the loader. So you put some anchors in, and I think we got some fairly large anchors. I think 3/4 of an inch in diameter. And we drilled the holes for them and anchored them into the ground and tightened them up good and tight. So these shouldn't move. I mean, you can't really stop a loader but you want to hope that the operator is going to be, good enough to not cram into the things and, get all rammy. And these are the new blocks. You can see how nice and white they are. Look at that. Those are shiny new blocks. You hated designing chutes and hoppers so much? Work for something so relatively simple? Yeah. Yeah, I guess they are, eh? Especially if you're designing them. And if people want something special, then you really got to put some more effort into it. So there we go. So you got one bunker there, and you've got one bunker here. Yeah, and these are no worse for wear. I really wish they would have got us brand new ones for all of them. And that's the wall that used to have you can kind of see the outline actually of the electrical that ran along it. But it's gone, nicely cleaned up by everybody. Those electricians did a good job. And this one's got a chute on it now, and it's just a straight chute rather than coming off at a 90. So there you go. It is almost ready to go, I think. The conveyor belt has been vulcanized back together. The chute's in place. The bunker is built. And then there's the short one. That one is straight. Right into the bunker. Vulcanize the conveyor belt. It's ready to go. I think we've got a project just about done. Nice clean area. Yeah, we stacked them 3 high because that should be good enough. They have to remove this one light though. Those electricians, they got to grab it, get it out of there. And there's our skid steers that we used, one wheeled and one tracked. Those things were very helpful for getting the job done. And the wheel loaders there, one there, one there. We used one of those with a set of forks on it. So we increased our lifting capacity quite a lot for moving some of the more heavier stuff around. And operating the wheel loader is pretty fun. Pretty fun stuff. And actually we have 3 of them there. There's one there, and one there, and one there. And some of these modern ones are really cool. They got push button start, one joystick control for everything, all the movements of the bucket and the arms. They got air conditioning and heated seats, some of them, and nice radio in there. So this is what they wanted with these sheets of steel. So now you can pile up your wood chips even higher than you could before. Because before it would press on the doors, and the doors aren't very strong. You don't want to push on overhead doors anyway because you'll kick them out of the track and it'll be really bad. So now you've got enough room for all these wood chips. And that's what it looked like beforehand. So you've got all this compost here. And the walls were, they had steel on them. So the concrete walls were covered in steel to sort of try to protect them. And you'd get your overzealous operators that would peel them up. As you can see here, this is a piece of the steel that gets thin over time and then just gets peeled up by the loader bucket. And you got to go out there and yell at the operator and tell them not to do that, and then try to patch it up. A little bit better look at it there, how it's rolled up like a piece of paper. But that is over, I think that's over about 18 years of wear and tear on the walls. And I decided to climb out on the roof the one day and just get a look at, I believe there was it might have been during when there was all those fires going on. And just to see, usually you can look over here and see the city skyline. Nothing. So it's one of those smoky days. And this is just one of the gates the guy built, because this is a drop down chute. And what happens is there's some long haul trucks that park underneath, and they take away all the discards, anything that can't be composted, and to send to the landfill. And you can just, while it parks underneath here, you just push it in. It's very easy. It makes it so easy. You just push it down this hole here. It has covers on it right now, but the covers come off and there's a big hole there. And they can push everything down that chute. And then they were like, you guys got to build a gate so that people won't jump down or fall down the chute. And one of the welders was like, okay, I'll build the gate. And he did. And he did it wrong. As you can see here, don't ever put your hinge in the middle. Always put your hinge on the edge so that you can swing your gate open all the way. So we gave him a hard time about that. It's like, look what you did. You didn't think this job through, did you? So I had to go and take pictures of it, because it's like, look, the gate won't open. Oh, and I took some video, I guess. Took some video of what it looks like now with the is this complete? Everything's done? No, not very good. Yeah. Too blurry. Sorry, guys. I think I got my flashlight out this time. I'm trying to shine the flashlight as I'm moving the camera. Okay, so we're not quite done yet. We have that left over. So there we go. Just a couple seconds to go. Yeah, I should have took a lot more video back in the day. But that's it. That is taking down conveyors safely without any mishaps, no incidents, and going home safe at the end of the day, because that's what we got to do. It's very important. You know, there's a lot of people that depend on you to stay alive. You know, my wife always tells me that I've always got to come home to her. And I'm like, yeah, I want to. You know, I don't want to die on the job. That's one of the most terrible things that can happen, I think, leaving someone behind that, you know, it's a big hole for them. So remember to always work safe and always think about going home at the end of the day. You don't want to take a shortcut or anything like that that's going to put your life in danger and make it so that your loved ones suffer, because that's what will happen. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's Trades Talk. I did have a little bit of a talk in the beginning, like I always do, about the industry and what's going on. And I did mention about the trade shortage, because there is one. It's real. It's here. The trade shortage is something that's going to be very pertinent in this world that we live in right now. And I'm hoping people can make a choice to join into these skilled trades. It's a good idea. Oh, hello, CC. CC. You're behind on live, but wanted to say hi before it ends. Hey, I appreciate that. Right on. It's good to have you along. WorkSafe BC is the Canadian equivalent. Okay. Yeah, no problem, Nico. I appreciate you guys coming by. And hey there, Mike from Pacific 414. We were just watching how to take down some conveyors. And let me tell you, it's very difficult and time consuming to do it safely and without anybody getting hurt. It's easy to knock stuff down, but to do it without, making a mess of things and destroying things, it takes a lot. Have you seen Shake Hands with Danger safety training video? It's on YouTube. It's hilarious and totally. Oh, you know what? That's famous. They show that to you like the first day of trade school. I think they throw that video on and they're like, Shake Hands with Danger. And it's they got some really good ones out there. It's a fun time, You watch that in trade school too? See, what did I say? They really know how to do it out there. So yes, I just want to say thanks to everybody. Thanks to everybody that came out. You guys are really great. I appreciate you coming out. People like Godzillionaire, always good to see you. And Gap After Dark. And DJ Ronnie G. It's always good to see you. And Nico. And I know other people came out. I know I'm finding you. Punk Waddle. It's always good to see you. I enjoy your stuff as well. And I saw some people I didn't see before. And CC Dadswell. It was a pleasure to see you come by, and always Mike from Pacific 414. I'm glad you guys liked the show. Please slap that like button. Tell your friends, spread the word, let them know that there's this guy on YouTube and he's a tradesman and he talks about trades every Tuesday. He'll tell you what to expect, how to get into them, what it's like. I'll share some stories. We'll have some laughs, It's you guys that help make it a fun time too, not just me. I try, but you guys do the bulk of the work too. And there's other channels out there too, like Pacific 414, who just happened to be in the chat too. And there's Blaine from Blaine's Escape Corner. There's Ronan66 and DJ Ronnie G. There's Blaine the Anime Guy and the Nerdporial Lifeform. There's Whoopa Troopa and Angry Canadian. And last but not least, Punk Waddle from Floral from Under a Rock. I got a Discord out there. It's called The Shop because, that's where the tradesmen hang out. They hang out at the shop. I'm on Twitter. And I've got a couple videos up on BitChute, Odyssey, and Rumble, just because they're not as heavy-handed with the copyright slaps that YouTube hands out. So coming up on Saturday, that is Game Stream Day. Every 9 a.m. on Saturday, this time I'm playing Legend of Zelda The Minish Cap. And let me tell you, this is a really fun game. I'm really enjoying it. It's quite neat. As it's got that mechanic of shrinking yourself down to access places you can't get when you're big. So I'm having a fun time there. And then on Sunday, it's Anime Chat Day. Every Sunday at 9 a.m. I have my anime chat time. And this theme of the month is March Mecha Madness. So if you like mecha, like I like mecha, you should come out and we'll go over This time, last week was the 80s and 90s. This time, the 2000s and the 2010s. And I know you guys have a favorite mecha out there. You must have a favorite anime show of it from the 2000s or the 2010s. You gotta come by and tell me about it, because there's a lot I haven't seen out there, but I'll tell you ones that I like, and you tell me the ones that you like, and we can swap them and watch them and have a great old time. So that's it for me, everyone. I want to say thank you. I'm very grateful for all of you coming by. You're the best. Till next time, I've been Pop Culture Mechanic, and I am signing off.